Chapter 28. Kai. It's been 3 days since a wolf took a bite out of me. 3 days since Peyton put her hands on me after I told her to only do so if she wanted to. And I don't think I've been able to catch my breath since. Every time she looks at me, I feel like I'm gasping for air. I hate it. Liar. It's been 3 long and boring days. The most profitable thing we've managed to do is find a shirt for me to wear. Another gift left for the contestants. The creek and small clearing around it has become our base, though we don't spend much time there during the day. Our riveting routine consists of splitting up into the forest and scouting for any other opponents. And yet, our efforts to collect more bands have not only been futile, but also unbearably boring. I'd rather not split up, simply because I'm far more entertained when Peyton is with me, but she insisted that we'd cover more ground separately. A lot of good it's done us so far. The sun is sinking rapidly, and stars splatter the sky as it begins to disappear for the night. I trudge back towards the camp, taking out my frustration on the plants littering my path by slicing them with my sword as I walk. Nothing. Neither of us has come across another opponent yet. The only thing we've managed to find are snakes, and a lot of them. Those, along with coyotes, have been the only visitors we've had to fight off as of late. I hear the bubbling creek before I even see it. The small clearing comes into view, and so does Peyton. She sits on a stump, twisting that thick silver ring on her thumb as she stares blankly at the fire, her hair blowing in the soft breeze. I grab some kindling and make my way over, throwing it on the fire before sitting down on the stump across from her. Well, I don't see any fresh wounds, so no luck, I'm assuming? I'm offended you think I couldn't come out of a fight unscathed. After I give her a skeptical look, she finally grumbles. No luck today. I watch her closely, assessing how she bites the inside of her cheek, spins the steel on her thumb, bounces her leg. She's a mess of pent-up energy, anxiety eating away at her. But I let her think, giving her time before I pry for answers on what it is that has her so tense. So we sit in silence, me gnawing on the stringy rabbit while Peyton gnaws on the inside of her cheek. The sun has dipped the horizon, painting the sky with deep oranges and soft pinks, when I finally break the silence with a sigh. All right, what's wrong? Out with it. She looks up from the fire, meeting my gaze, before deciding that the flames are more interesting to look at. Nothing. I'm fine. I almost laugh. I've learned the hard way that those are words you never want to hear a woman say to you, and it's obvious that she is anything but fine. I stoke the fire as I sigh. You're a horrible liar, Gray. She finally dares to look in my direction, and then she's laughing loudly. I hold my breath, watching the way her head tips towards the sky. Her silver hair cascades down her back. Her eyes crinkle with amusement. She looks back at me too quickly, and I hope I've wiped the look of wanting from my face fast enough. She's so stunning, yet so stubbornly oblivious to how the sunset behind doles in comparison to the vibrance that is her. Oh, what the hell is wrong with me? I'll have you know that I'm a great liar. She can barely say the words without snorting like she's told a joke, and I've missed the punchline. I pop a piece of meat into my mouth. I'm gonna have to disagree. Oh, really? Really? She leans forward, resting her elbows on her knees. Enlighten me, Prince. Good. Let me distract you. My lips twitch into a smile. You have a tell, darling. Do not. She's not laughing anymore, and I almost regret saying anything at all. You tap your left foot when you lie, ever so slightly. She gapes and I grin. I started noticing it when you said you hated my dimples. And, obviously, we both know that's a lie. I duck before the rock she throws at me can connect with my skull. Now I'm the one laughing. She turns her attention back towards the fire, fighting her smile. I didn't realize you'd watched me so closely. Watched? Darling, I've never stopped. She meets my gaze as an emotion I can't place ripples in those ocean eyes of hers. And there she goes again, spinning that silver ring on her thumb. Interesting. Why are you really doing this? Her words cut through my thoughts, and I look at her, though her own gaze is now fixed on the flames in front of us. Why didn't you just take my leather and leave me? I hear her unspoken words echoing in my head. Leave me to die. She looks at me then, her eyes flooded with emotions. She wants an answer, needs an answer as to why I didn't act like the monster I've been molded into. I open my mouth, expecting a good answer to fall out. Wishful thinking, I suppose, because I sigh and say, "You know, we never got to finish our dance." She blinks at me. That wasn't an answer. That's because we haven't danced yet. You should know how this works by now, Gray. We dance, you get your answer. Or we don't, and, well, you'll be left to ponder all your burning questions about me. She huffs out a laugh. You're kidding. Not this again. Yes, this again. I stand on my feet and walk over to where she sits on her stump. So, I hold up my hand to her with a lazy bow. Are we dancing or not, Gray? She rolls her eyes, trying to fight the smile that's tugging at her lips. Fine. She lays her palm on my own, and the mere contact has my pulse quickening. What has this girl done to me? We take a few steps away from the fire, the pale moonlight beaming, the stars twinkling. I guide her hand onto my shoulder and take the other to hold, careful not to strain her stitches. My other hand finds her waist, wrapping my arm around her back to pull her close. She feels so familiar in my arms, and I drink in every detail, memorize every movement. We begin stepping in time to nothing but the sound of our own heartbeats and the crickets chirping around us. We're swallowed in darkness, mere shadows in the flickering firelight. There's no music, she says flatly, her voice laced with amusement. Well then, I guess we won't know when to stop dancing. How unfortunate. My chin brushes the top of her head before I dip her towards the ground, making her gasp in surprise. Don't tempt me to stomp on your toes, she threatens breathlessly. I raise her back up slowly, as I say, Oh, we can't have that. I'm still recovering from the last time we danced. We're quiet for a moment, listening to the crunch of twigs beneath our feet and the crackling of the fire. Through her thin and battered tank, I can feel the heat of her body, feel her skin beneath my hand. Distracting. Her voice is quiet when she breaks the silence, as if almost reluctant to interrupt the moment. So, the answer to my question? Right, that. Is it really so shocking that I don't want you to die? I lean back slightly so I can meet her eyes. So shocking that I would help someone? She doesn't hesitate. Yes. I almost laugh. I can't say I'm surprised. It's just that. She pauses, her eyes flitting between mine, as if searching for the answer in them. I thought you were more like your father. Her words slam into me. Father is, well, he's a king. He's cold and strict, and very rarely impressed, even with his own sons. I suppose in some way he's made me to be like him, schooled me on how to act, what to feel, and more importantly, what not to feel. Thanks to him, I've crafted a jumble of different masks that I can slip on and off at will. I'm a mess of muffled emotions and well-built walls. But because I don't quite know the answer to her question myself, I ask her one of my own. Is that why you hate me so much? Because you thought I was like my father, who you clearly don't care for? I don't hate you. She answers too quickly, pausing to wonder if she said the right thing while I wonder why she hasn't said it sooner. My smile is crooked, Oh, you don't hate me. So, what, every thread of my life is a declaration of love then? I said I don't hate you, Prince. That doesn't mean I don't despise you. I duck my head, eyes searching hers. I think you despise that you don't despise me. Her mouth falls open before she snaps it shut and fixes me with a glare. I seem to have rendered her speechless. Well, that's a first. Use your words, Gray. I smile, spinning at her before pulling her back to me. Tell me, am I wrong? I thought I was the one asking you the questions, she says, distracting and diverting my attention with that devastating smile and deliberate words. And she thinks I'm the calculating one. She looks away from me, biting the inside of her cheek before meeting my gaze again. Would you have helped one of the others? A pause. Someone other than Jax or Andy? Someone other than the people I truly care about. A slow smile spreads across my face. And darling, I doubt that the sight of someone dying would affect me as much as you do alive and well. She swallows. You're a shameless flirt, Hazar. Only for you. Now it seems you're also a shameless liar. I huff out a quiet laugh before saying, my turn to ask a question. She opens her mouth, most likely to argue, but I cut her off. So, out of all the people roaming around Loot that day, why was I fortunate enough to be robbed blind? Her mouth snaps shut before splitting into a smile. You fit a description. A description? Her smile is anything but sweet. Yes, you looked cocky and chock full of coins. Those are my favorite targets. I lean closer towards her. Well, this target knew you stole from him. You knew I stole from you too late. Funny, I seem to remember that I caught you not shortly after. Her smile is smug. Only because I came back and saved you. Then she laughs. So, what, you don't think I could steal from you again without you noticing? I think that I notice everything you do. So, no. She pauses, her face close to mine, momentarily stunned by my words. I smile, enjoying the sight of her flustered. Her next words are soft, slow. Is that a challenge, Azar? It's a fact, Gray. Is it? She says, suddenly dangling something between our faces. That's interesting, because I nicked this off you almost immediately after we started dancing. I squint in the dim light, swearing under my breath when I realize what it is she's holding. Braxton's leather strap, once safe in my pocket, is now pinched between her fingers and swinging in front of my face. I'm impressed, Gray. I shrug casually before adding, I'm mostly shocked I didn't notice with how closely I pay attention to you. She rolls her eyes at me. Distraction. My gaze sweeps over her quickly before returning to that smile. You are quite good at that, aren't you? She's quiet as she watches me closely before looking away. I avert my gaze too, preparing myself for another one of her prying questions. What's your favorite color? My eyes snap to hers. What? I nearly choke on my laughter. Your favorite color? What is it? For once, I almost step on her toes out of shock and sheer wonder. Of all the things you could ask me, you ask me what my favorite color is? I can't keep the smile from spreading across my face. She blows a strand of hair from her eyes in annoyance. I feel like I don't know many things about you, so I figured I'd start with the basics. An amused sigh. I'm letting you off the hook with an easy question, so don't disappoint. What is your favorite color? I spin her if only to give myself some time to think. I'd never thought about what my favorite color was before. It never seemed important. Not until I looked into a pair of ocean blue eyes and realized that perhaps drowning was a beautiful thing. Not until I looked into a pair of fiery blue eyes and realized that perhaps burning was a painless thing. Not until I looked into a pair of sky blue eyes and realized that perhaps falling was a peaceful thing. I'd never thought about what my favorite color was before, because I hadn't seen one that was worthy of the title. Until now, that is. Blue, I say, my voice low. She's looking at me thoughtfully, studying me sincerely. I would never have guessed. Neither would I. And yours? I ask, watching her as she thinks. She opens her mouth, then shuts it, considering something. Her jaw sets. I don't have one. With a small shrug, she asks, favorite food or dessert? We're in the middle of a trial, and you're asking me about my favorite food. She ignores me. Well, I know it's not rabbit. I see the way your mouth twists when you eat it. I do not twist. I pause, grinning. Have you been looking at my mouth, Gray? She opens her mouth to argue, only to huff instead. Just answer the damn question, Azra. I chuckle and spin her slowly. Easy. Lemon tarts. She snorts. You're kidding. Lemon tarts? You're a rich prince who could have any food he wants, and you would choose lemon tarts? Yes, lemon tarts, I mimic. And now I'm making you eat some with me when we finally get out of here. Over my dead body. My smile is wicked. That can be arranged. And there she goes, making good on her threat to stomp on my toes, seeing that her feet are her only weapon at the moment. Oops. Vicious little thing. I murmur under my breath. You don't know the half of it, Prince. Oh, but I hope one day I will. We are silent for a moment, studying each other before I finally say, tell me, what's your favorite food then, since you seem to think it's so much better than lemon tarts? Oh, trust me, when I say it is far better than lemon tarts, well, don't keep me guessing, Gray. She tilts her head up towards mine as she confidently says, butterscotch. Butterscotch, I repeat, committing the information to memory. Yes, she smiles, but I see the sadness in it. My father used to give out the candy to his patients, and every time he would fix up one of my wounds, or I would help fix up someone else's, we would eat butterscotch after as a sort of reward. We're quiet for a moment. You two were very close. We were, she states. But you and your father aren't, are you? Not after what he's put you through. I'm thankful for the lack of pity in her voice, though her disgust is clear. A quiet, bitter laugh escapes me. No, I'm more soldier than son, and he's more king than father. It's hard to be close when our only time spent together was training, and I didn't exactly look forward to those encounters. And your mother? She asked quietly. She's everything I could have asked for, I state simply. Everything I needed as a boy. She's been one of the only constants in my life, a source of kindness and caring. And yet, Peyton says hesitantly, she let your father do what he did. I pause, speaking to her as I remind myself, she didn't exactly have a choice in the matter, and becoming the future enforcer is my duty, no matter the methods it takes to get there. She eyes me with that expression I can never quite seem to place. Is it wonder? Confusion? One moment she's an open book, and then the next I can barely crack the spine. And then she's peppering me with questions, most of them random, though all deemed equally important to her. She tells me stories of growing up, and I do the same, listening to her laugh, I kitten my stupidity. So, tell me about the split lip you had when we met, I ask, brows raised. She laughs, and the sound snakes up my spine. I wasn't lying when I told you it was a gift from one of your Imperials. Right. You informed me of that when you had your dagger to my throat, I believe. Sounds about right. Well, I'm still unaware of the details behind how you earned it. My eyes darken at the thought. I don't react kindly to my Imperials hitting women. Oh? Then you should probably know that this wasn't the first time. Her words are casual, blunt. Long story short, he didn't believe I was a psychic, so I proved it to him, and clearly he didn't like what I had to say. I stare at her in disbelief. And what, you just took the hit? Yes, but not before I took some of his pride. Why am I not surprised by that? She gives me a sly smile, probably because you've got so used to me humbling you, Prince. That I have. I pause, taking her in. You never cease to amaze me, Gray. I smirk as I release her hand to flick the tip of her nose lightly. She bats my fingers away with a huff. And you never cease to annoy me. I grab her hand again and guide it up my arm until both of her palms rest on my shoulders. Then I slip my hands around her waist and behind her back, careful of her injured side as I pull her closer. And then we just sway. No fancy footwork, no waltz to step in time to. Just us in the middle of a forest, surrounded by thousands of winking stars. Her lashes flutter, and then her fingers are laced behind my neck. The tension between us pulls taut, like an invisible tether connecting the two of us. My pulse quickens, and so does her breathing, her chest rising and falling rapidly. I never cease to annoy you, huh? I watch her face while pulling her impossibly closer. What about now? Is this the exception? She swallows and dips her head, not offering me an answer. I smile slightly as I try to get her to speak, a problem I've never had to deal with before. Pay? Still no answer. My fingers catch her chin, gently guiding her gaze to meet mine. There is confusion etched all over her face as she lets out a shaky laugh. I'm annoyed that I'm not finding this annoying. My hand tightens around her waist like it might catch fire from the feel of her. I'm embarrassed by how much this one girl engrosses me, afraid of how affected I am. It makes me feel equally weak and wonderful, alarmed, yet alive. Why didn't you shoot me, Peyton? The question tumbles out of my mouth, curious and quiet. She tilts her head, studying me. You're gonna have to be more specific than that, Azar. Deflecting. I crack a smile, knowing that she is aware of what I'm referring to. You could have shot me a few days ago, but you fired at the ground. I want to know why. She pauses, pondering her answer. Then her eyes are pinned on mine. Just because I was doomed for death doesn't mean I wanted to damn you as well. Her eyes roam over me, and I relish the feel of her gaze. And then she pulls away. Her hands are back on my shoulders, stiff and stubbornly unmoving. Then her eyes are on the sky, choosing to stare at the stars rather than me. She sighs through her nose, silently collecting herself, and I'm doing the same, trying to pull myself together after she pulled away. Yes, we are opponents. Yes, I am the future enforcer. Yes, I am a killer that has no right to want to keep her. But there's something else. Something that has her refusing to admit this confusing connection we share. Plagues. I'm pissed that I admitted it to myself. My masks are still at the ready, my walls still in place, but she is slowly breaking down both my facades and fortresses, and I'm suddenly angry at myself for allowing it, for allowing myself to care, for allowing myself to think of her in any way other than my competition. Because she's made it clear that that is all I am to her. Kai, she says quietly, the sound of my name on her lips ripping me from my thoughts. A soft female voice cuts through her words. Sorry to interrupt, but you both have something I need.
Chapter 29. Peyton. The voice echoes from all around us. Kai and I jump apart, instinctively swiveling around to press our backs against each other. I squint in the dim light where the outlines of tall, dark figures begin to take shape. A reluctant sigh rings out into the darkness, amplified by the numerous bodies surrounding us. We're trapped. They all take a measured step forward, enclosing us in a human cage of bodies. Dozens of hazel eyes shimmer in the firelight, dark hair and skin gleaming. Sadie. All I want is your bands, and I'll be on my way. And then she almost smiles as she looks around at her copies. Well, we'll be on our way. Kai sighs, seemingly annoyed by all of this. You knew we wouldn't give you our bands, and yet you interrupted us anyways. Fine, Sadie says curtly. Then give me one band, and no one has to get hurt. My eyes dart to my bow lying a few feet away from me, a few feet away and behind the wall of Sadie's. I don't have a single weapon to use to defend myself, and I've never felt so exposed. It's like I've been stripped bare. I can almost feel the ghost of my father's dagger against my thigh, making me wish more than anything that I had it here with me. Several sets of hazel eyes flick between the two of us, still back to back, before locking with mine. I don't want to hurt you, but I will if it comes to that. She pauses, and her voice is even, unfeeling as she says, I will, if it means I'll win. I'm about to open my mouth and respond when calluses brush my own, gripping my hand behind my back. I nearly jerk at the contact, but Kai pries my fist open, pressing something cool and hard into my palm before curling my fingers around it. Then, just as quickly, his hand is gone. The thing bites into my skin, pointed edges piercing. I fight to keep the smile from my face when I realize what he's given me. A weapon. He's giving me a fighting chance. It's a small one, but a weapon nonetheless. I clutch the throwing star in my fist, not caring if the sharp edges pierce my skin. This tiny object could be the difference between life and death. The only weapon Kai has is the sword belted at his side, but then again, he is a weapon himself. I'm shocked he didn't feel Sadie's power creeping up on us, but I suppose I can't blame him, considering how distracted I was with his hands on me, his words with underlying meanings, my hammering heartbeat when he gets too close. I take a deep breath. Let's deal with one problem at a time. Then I guess you're gonna have to hurt me if you have any hope of getting my band. I breathe, eyeing the Sadies as they take a slow step forward. She shakes her head at me, as though disappointed in my decision. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. And then she's suddenly in front of me, holding the tip of a short dagger to my throat. Before the next thud of my heart, she's yanked my arm and pulled my back against her chest. The blade she still holds against my throat sinks deeper into my flesh with every shallow breath. I'll only ask once more. Sadie's voice is sharp, so unlike the soft tone I'm used to from her. Give me your leather, Kai, or I'll slit her throat. The prince blinks at the scene before him, looking completely unfazed. He knows I can take care of myself, and though I'm flattered by that fact, I could use his help at the current moment. Hot blood begins to trickle down my neck, and I will myself to remain calm. Kai simply shrugs at the threat. Go ahead then. He nods towards the blade pressed to my throat. See if I care. We are only opponents, after all. Less competition. I can practically hear Sadie blink behind me. She's clearly stunned by his lack of concern, especially after seeing the two of us dancing together only minutes ago. I would be stunned myself if I wasn't so used to seeing his masks, if I didn't recognize the cold one he's just slipped on. She stiffens behind me. I'm calling your bluff, Prince. I feel her hand begin to jerk, begin to slice deeper into my skin. And then I strike. I slam the razor-sharp throwing star into the soft tissue of her stomach, pushing it deep as I push her hand still clutching the knife away from my neck. She screams and jerks away, sending me stumbling into Kai. Well, one of them. There are now several muscled forms, all mirroring his messy black waves and stormy eyes. He's taken on her ability. I ram into his chest before strong hands grip the sides of my arms. When I look up into his face, he has the nerve to wink before saying, "Good work, Gray. I can always count on you and your violent tendencies." With that, he spins around and drives his sword through one of Sadie's duplicates. A throng of Sadies surround Kai and his own copies, keeping him occupied and unable to get to the real one and end this fight quickly. I'm reminded of a day spent training at the castle, when I watched Sadie sparring with Braxton. They would fight and dance around each other until Braxton made his way to the real Sadie, finally taking her down and ending the fight. And that is exactly what I am going to do. Except, unlike Ace's illusions, which I've already had the pleasure of facing, Sadie and her copies can touch and hurt me. With this unsettling thought in mind, I dance on the balls of my feet, prepared to strike. I turn away from the copies swarming Kai, knowing that he can handle himself, while he trusts I can do the same. There are only 3 Sadies left, 2 of which guard the real one, currently clutching a bloodied hand to the wound on her stomach. Their heads snap towards me, and I barely have enough time to sink into my fighting stance before one of them charges at me. Unfortunately for me, Sadie knows how to fight. Since her power is simply duplicating her own body, she automatically has strength in numbers. But she's trained so that those numbers have strength of their own. A right hook flies at my face and I duck under it, landing a quick blow to her stomach. The Sadie stumbles back with a grunt, and I use the opportunity to send a kick connecting with her side. She catches my legs and pulls me forward. Exactly what I was hoping for. I grip her shoulders and jump, driving my other knee deep into her stomach. She drops my leg with a cry of pain, and I slide my ring onto my middle finger before throwing a fist at her temple. I mutter a curse as I shake out my stinging hand, but she's out cold before she even hits the ground. A hand pulls at my hair hard, and my head yanks back. I let out a strangled gasp as an elbow hooks around my throat, crushing my windpipe. I can't breathe, dizzy with pain as spots swim before my vision. But I stomp on her foot before elbowing her hard in the stomach. She loosens her hold, and I whirl around, grabbing the back of her neck and slamming her nose into the knee I drive upwards. She sputters and flings her fist out, managing to connect it with my jaw. I ignore the aching pain and drop, sweeping my leg out before she's swept off her feet. She slams into the ground with a thud, but I've already turned my attention away from her sprawled form. My eyes find the smoldering hazel ones belonging to the real Sadie. She steps towards me, blood oozing from between her fingers as she covers her wound. "Just know that I don't want to do this," she says, her voice strained. "But I have to." And then, her fists are flying at me in a combination of hooks, jabs, and uppercuts. I'm impressed by how much speed and strength she still has after being stabbed, forcing me on defense. I dodge her blows until I land one of my own, square in her jaw. She grunts in pain before sending a roundhouse kick at my temple. I barely block it, her heel still clipping the side of my head. We dance around each other, throwing various combinations of punches and kicks. Her fist crashes into my lip, and my head snaps to the side before I spit blood. I send a hard kick into her already wounded side, and she screams in pain. Then I land a blow under her jaw, another to her wound, a kick to her temple. She cries out, trying to hit me with a lazy punch, but I catch her wrist easily, twisting it at an odd angle before kneeing her in the stomach. I grab her shirt in one hand, while the other is balled into a fist, currently cocked back and ready to strike. I send it flying towards her face, ready to end this fight with one final blow. Except my fist doesn't move. Cold hands clamp around both my wrists, pulling at my arms until they are tucked tightly behind my back. I'm so shocked, so strained and tired that I can't fight the strong grip, can't do anything to break my hands free. My head whips around, and I'm face to face with a bloody-nosed Sadie. the one I fought immediately before. Look at me, Peyton. My head snaps back to the original Sadie, now clutching a knife in her bloody hands before me. I kick at the legs of the Sadie behind me, only causing her to kick in the back of my knees, sending me crashing into the ground. Helpless. Powerless. Sadie stands over me, seeming to contemplate something as I kneel before her. You are never going to stop fighting me, are you? In response, I writhe in Sadie's grip, desperately trying to break free. She shakes her head at me, offering an apologetic look. Maybe Kai was right. The less competition, the better. She grabs the handle of the dagger in both hands, raising it above her head. So this is how I die. I survived my whole life as an ordinary, and yet this is how it ends. By a measly dagger. I can't tell if I want to laugh or cry. Sadie holds the knife above her head, ready to plunge it into my rapidly beating heart as she whispers, I told you I didn't want to do this, but I have to. Kai will be furious that he saved my life for nothing. I'm sorry. Sadie chokes out as the tip of the blade comes racing towards my heart. And impossibly, unbelievably, I'm suddenly ready for it. I'll see you soon, Father. Nothing. The blade stops mere inches away from my heart. I'm shaking, my eyes trailing from the halted knife to my almost killer. Blood pours out of Sadie's mouth, followed by a gurgled gasp slipping between her lips. She looks down, wide-eyed, and I follow her gaze to the sword now protruding from her chest. The dagger slips from her fingers as tears slip down her cheeks. She stumbles back, gasping, into a broad chest. Kai wraps his arms around her and gently guides her to the ground, a sickening gargling sound slipping past her lips. And then she's suddenly silent, her hazel eyes staring up at the black sky, wide, unseeing, and glossy. The Sadies around us flicker out of existence, leaving my hands free to cover my mouth as I choke out a gasp. I'm trying to take in what just happened, trying to take in air as I wheeze weakly. Kai drops to his knees beside me, worry crinkling his brow. Are you hurt? His eyes roam over me, like the fingers now lightly roaming up my body, checking for injuries just as they had a few nights before. Peyton, look at me. Rough hands are cupping my face now, guiding my gaze towards him. Tell me, did she hurt you? I'm fine. I'm not fine. I hate these trials because they kill people, and now I've just witnessed it firsthand. I've been a part of it. I didn't ask for any of this, didn't want anyone to die, and now another victim of the trials lies motionless mere feet away. I told you I don't want to do this, but I have to. Sadie didn't want to kill me, and yet I almost wish she had. Almost wish I had a reason to hate her, a reason to wish this fate upon her. But it's these twisted trials that forced her shaking hand to raise that dagger above her head, forced her into nearly taking a life. I glance at her bloody body lying limp and so close. An image of my father flashes before my eyes, replacing the girl who tried to kill me with the father who would have killed for me. I witnessed him die similarly, and I try to blink the image away, but his bloody body doesn't budge. Hey, look at me, all right? Don't look at her, look right at me. Kai's hands are still gently holding my face when I slide my gaze back to his, trying to focus on something other than the death in front of me. Except the prince himself seems to be death incarnate, a wielded weapon. Focus on my eyes. I know how much you like to stare into them. His gray gaze sparkles with amusement, and the corner of his lips kick up while my own mouth falls open. He knows me well enough to know that I'm about to start telling him off in response to that little comment, so he presses a finger to my lips before I get the chance. Focus on the dimples you try to convince yourself you hate, even though I know you look for them every time I smile. Sure enough, his grin spreads, and my traitorous eyes flick to the dimples framing it. The thumb he runs over my bottom lip has my eyes dragging from his dimples to meet his gaze. Focus on my lips. His voice is a murmur, a caress like the fingers brushing my face and mouth. Don't be shy. I know this wouldn't be the first time. My eyes drift to his lips, trailing over the sensuous curve of them. He's so very easy to look at, to admire. Everything about him is annoyingly alluring, distracting so easily. Distracting. When my eyes light up with the realization of what he is doing, his slight smirk tells me I'm correct. This calculating boy just distracted me from a dead body, using nothing but himself to do so. Are you sure that was to distract me and not to boost your ego? I ask, my voice deceptively calm. Why can't it be both? Ass, I mumble. He hasn't stopped smiling at me. I may be an ass, but I just saved yours. And then, without warning, his smile vanishes and is replaced by serious scrutiny as he looks me over. How are you? Have you calmed down? I breathe and shut my eyes for a moment. An image of Sadie's bloody body flashes in my mind before shifting into my father's. I'm fine now, I lie, hating how strained my voice sounds. He shakes his head at me, muttering, I told you. You're a horrible liar, Gray. A shaky laugh escapes me. The sound is so wrong with a lifeless body so close, but I can't seem to control myself. At this point, my only options are laughing or crying, and I refuse to do the latter. Kai studies my face, seeming to see the battle raging within me. Without a word, he wraps an arm around my middle and helps me to my feet. I know I should push him away, should tell him I don't need his help. But I'm weak, in far more ways than one, and his closeness is my only comfort right now. He guides me to a stump and sits me down, crouching to look up into my face. Pay. He speaks the syllable so softly. Stay here and calm down. Just breathe, all right? You're still in shock. I nod numbly as he assesses me again. His gaze never strays from my own as he slowly raises a hand to slide his fingers over mine, seeming to search for something. They halt on the cold steel around my finger before spinning the ring idly, mirroring a movement I'm all too familiar with. Distract yourself. Spin this like you always do to keep busy, to keep your mind off things. I blink at him, shocked that he knows my habits, knows how to help me. I'm stunned at how calm and collected he is after killing someone, though I shouldn't be. He was raised for this, molded into a murderer who's numb to the death he doles out. I suppress a shudder at the thought of the horrors this haunted boy has committed, the horrors he's endured. Kai stands to leave. I'm going to go clean this up. I'll be back soon. And for once, he sighs, listen to me and stay put. And then he's gone, leaving me to spin my ring restlessly. Chapter 30. Payden. Unsurprisingly, I didn't listen to him. As soon as my ass got numb from sitting on that bloody stump, I stood and paced circles around our camp before splashing cold water from the creek on my face and body. Then my ass got cold, and I moved next to the fire to lie down on the hard ground I'm so familiar with. I refused to watch as Kai lifted Sadie's body over his shoulder and stalked off with her. Where he dumped her, I have no idea. And I don't want to know, I realized. But I let my thoughts wander, while he wanders around the wood with a dead body slung over his shoulder. I watch the dying fire from where I lie on my side, the crook of my arm tucked under my head, making for an uncomfortable pillow. My breathing is now under control. The shaking from leftover adrenaline and shock now faded. I might have been lying here for hours if I cared to try and keep track of time. A shadow suddenly sweeps over me, belonging to the someone now crouching behind. I grip the handle of Sadie's knife and flip around in one swift movement, bringing the tip of the blade to the throat of whoever decided it was a smart idea to creep up on me. My eyes crash into stormy ones, looking amused rather than afraid. "Easy," Kai murmurs, gently wrapping a rough hand around my wrist and pulling the dagger away from him. "It's just me." The corner of his mouth twists up as he says, "Although I doubt that knowledge would stop you from keeping this blade to my throat." I manage a slight smile at the thought, running a hand through my tangled hair as I look up at him crouching beside me. "Since we're partners now, you don't have to worry about me stabbing you, for the time being." He lets out a deep chuckle, and I hope the dim light hides most of my smile at the sound. "And when we aren't partners anymore? Should I fear for my life?" "That would be wise, yes." I just barely hear him mutter, "Vicious little thing." We are quiet for a moment, and my smile begins to slowly fade. I'm tired and surprisingly comfy on the packed earth, so I don't bother moving as I say, "Did you—" "Yes." He cuts me off, sparing me from having to speak about Sadie's body. My gaze snags on his hands and the thin layer of dirt covering them. It's under his nails, splattered up his arms. A dusting of yellow on his fingertips catches my eye, a fine powder staining his skin. Dirt. Pollen. My voice is a little more than a whisper. "You buried her." Kai stills beside me. Not only that, my eyes slowly slide up to meet his. "You laid flowers on her grave." His smile is almost sad, filled with fatigue. "Nothing gets past you, little psychic." He reaches out a hand then, flicking the very tip of my nose like he'd done when we danced. Somehow, the simple action feels far more intimate than I care to admit, as though he is sharing something precious with me, saying something without uttering a single word. I catch his hand before he pulls away, trying to ignore the feel of his calluses against my own. "Thank you, Kai. That was good of you to do that for her." His lips twitch, and his eyes drop to our joined hands before trailing back to mine. "Oh, I didn't do it for her." The intensity in his gaze makes me swallow, but I don't look away. I don't want to look away. He runs his thumb over my knuckles, the action so soothing, so gentle. He cocks his head to the side, inspecting me. "How are you feeling?" I open my mouth, but Kai beats me to my rehearsed response. "And don't bother saying that you're fine, because we both know that's a lie." Another stroke of his thumb across my knuckles. My eyes flutter closed, and I take a deep breath. "I'm feeling like I almost died today. I'm feeling overwhelmed and in over my head. I'm feeling furious and frustrated because I don't know how to feel about all of this." I pause while Kai waits patiently for me to continue. "And I'm feeling like I owe you a thank you. I would have died today if it weren't for you saving me." He leans closer, eyes brimming with barely bottled up emotions. "And I'll save your life again and again, aimlessly hoping you will allow me to stay in it." We stare at each other. Those pretty words of his have my heart pounding, brain puzzling over possible meanings. The tension between us is tangible, taking my breath away as he takes me in. I'm grasping for something, anything to say, but I'm too busy staring to think straight. And then a question slips past my lips, snapping the tension between us. "How are you so calm after all this?" I know the answer, and yet I find myself wanting to hear it from his own lips. "I didn't always used to be like this," he says softly. "But practice makes perfect, and I've had a lot of it." We stare silently at one another, and once again I'm struggling for something to say. Then I remember the leather strap I had stolen from him and slip my hand out of his to pull it from my pocket. Well, I suppose this is the only way I can repay you, though it's yours to begin with. He gives me a lazy shrug. Keep it. I huff. I don't want your pity. It's not pity, Peyton. He sighs out the words. My name. Besides, I have another one of my own now, and taking down Sadie was a joint effort. I level him with a look, preparing to argue since we both know he didn't necessarily need my help with Sadie. He doesn't miss the fight in my eyes. Just take the damn leather, Gray. If he wants to offer me the one thing I need to help me win these trials, then fine. I'll take the damn leather, but not before I've had some fun. A smile twists my lips. Say please. He looks away from me, shaking his head at the starry sky. You have just been waiting to make me say this, haven't you? Dying to, actually. His forearms rest on his bent knees as he leans even closer, face hovering close above mine. The smile he gives me is equally as lazy as his gaze traveling over my face. Please pay. A shiver runs down my spine at the caress that is his voice. That seems to be a foreign word to you, Prince. Thanks to you, I have a feeling I'm going to grow very familiar with it. Few have the power to make me plead. I swallow, choosing to ignore his words as I shove the leather into my pocket and roll to face the fire once more, suddenly cold and content to be quiet. The temperature has dropped significantly tonight, and my thin tank does little to keep me warm. I do have one condition, though. I roll my eyes. Of course he does. And what would that be? I ask through my teeth, not bothering to look at him. An arm wraps around my middle, carefully avoiding my wound, while tugging me against a broad chest. I startle at the sudden contact, and a soft laugh sounds close to my ear. I get to use you to keep me warm. There's a certain hesitancy to him, the type of timidness he only lets me see in moments like these. He holds me loosely, delicately, like whatever shared fragile feelings between us could shatter if handled with lack of care. A question laces every lingering touch, every look too long, every layer of ourselves we choose to divulge to one another. The arm around me is no different, speaking volumes in the form of hovering fingers and hesitant hold. Is this okay? I swallow hard. My throat has gone dry. My answer is agonizingly slow as I slide closer to him. It's more than okay. Eagerness is an emotion I've always been able to blame on circumstance, and I wish desperately it wasn't desire driving my decisions. I hear him take a breath, only realizing then that he had been holding it. And then, all remnants of hesitation is gone. His hand settles on the far side of my waist where my tank is slowly beginning to slide up. He's wasted no time pulling me against him, allowing me to feel the rise and fall of his chest, feel the steady beat of his heart pounding against my back. Tell me, does this annoy you? He asks quietly, breathing the question close to my ear. He's throwing my words back at me, and I can almost feel him smirking. He wants this to annoy me, wants this to get under my skin and make me flustered with every finger he has on my body. Bastard. I simply can't allow that. So, I say with a confidence I don't currently feel, not at all. I can't be bothered, Azar. Good, he says coolly. Then he lays his head on my arm and shoulder, his soft, inky hair tickling my skin. Who needs a pillow when I have you? I huff with what I hope sounds like annoyance. Thanks to him, I'm now suddenly wide awake and unable to focus on anything else but the heat of his body against mine. He finally drops his head from my shoulder and lays it close to the back of mine, practically buried in my hair. Sweet dreams, Pei. Sweet dreams, Kai. His hand tightens ever so slightly on my waist, in response to the sound of his name rolling off my tongue. And then, his thumb is brushing lazy, light strokes over the fabric of my thin tank. I suppress a shiver, swallow, and shut my eyes. Just go to sleep. Easier said than done. I'm far too focused on his sweeping thumb, his arm wrapped tightly around me, his chest rising and falling against my back. I hate that I don't hate it. And that's when it hits me. Distraction. He's doing it again. He's taking my mind off the death I just witnessed, off the fact that I watched him kill someone because they were going to kill me. He's the only thing keeping my thoughts from Sadie's dead body, the only thing that will chase the nightmares away for tonight, because I'm too occupied with the thought of him. And this is a distraction that benefits the both of us. I find myself smiling as I think about the calculating boy behind me. The calculating boy who, for some reason, cares.
Chapter 31. Kai. We spend our final day in the Whispers trying to get out. It was late afternoon when a sight interrupted our routine of eating stringy rabbit together. The girl was young and timid, only managing to drop a folded piece of parchment onto a nearby stump before she vanished into the forest. The note, to no surprise, was incredibly cryptic. It offered no details, only informing us that we are to meet at the edge of the Whispers at sunrise. So, after climbing another plague-forsaken pine tree to see which direction to head in, we set off trudging through the forest. And after several long hours of this, we've grown restless, to say the least. I hear Peyton swear, stumbling behind me. "These damn snakes." I turn around in time to see her flip the dagger in her hand, holding it by its blade before effortlessly sending it flying into the head of a snake slithering by her feet. The hissing dies along with the rest of the creature before Peyton casually tugs the blade out of its skull. I turn back to the path of thick foliage in front of me, a smile tugging at my lips thanks to the girl behind me. Then, I hear a muttered sentence followed by a string of curse words that only manages to make my grin grow. "I'm sorry, what was that, Gray?" I ask, not bothering to look over my shoulder. "We're all only being forced into one area for a bloodbath," she huffs, brushing past me. "Yeah, that sounds about right," I say with a sigh. The sky above us is quickly darkening, and under the cover of the trees, the light is even dimmer. She turns, and I see her open her mouth to likely make some smart-ass comment before clamping it shut when the sound of a twig snapping echoes around us. "Please, there is no way you can blink from here to the edge of the Whispers. I most certainly could. It's just dark now, so I can't. Oh, and there are too many trees blocking my view. But if it weren't for that, I totally could." "Sure, use that as your excuse. I think you're just jealous. Keep telling yourself that." I hear the echo of laughter and the sound of scuffling feet, no doubt the result of playful shoving. The power of the two opponents nearby seeps into my bones, but I don't need to know their abilities to know who they are. Peyton hesitantly follows behind when I head in their direction. I push through the trees and plants, my pulse quickening in anticipation. Shoving aside a branch, I spot the two figures walking towards us. Andy sticks out her foot and catches Jax's ankle, nearly sending him sprawling to the ground. Their quiet laughter is abruptly cut off when they see me and halt in their tracks. "Well, don't look too excited to see me," I say dryly, taking a step towards them. "Kai?" Jax is squinting through the growing darkness, but his eyes light up with recognition. He's before me in a few of his long strides, and I catch his head in the crook of my arm to scruff up his short hair despite his protests. Andy walks up with a smile. "Good to see you're alive." "Yeah, that's great," Jax agrees, rubbing his head. "But I could do without your usual greeting." "So, how was your stay in the Whispers?" Andy stops short, her eyes sliding to something over my shoulder. Peyton steps beside me, offering a hesitant smile. She doesn't trust them, and I don't blame her. But it's clear that she trusts me, or else she would have run rather than follow me out here. I suppress a smile at the thought as I say, "We have had quite the eventful stay in the Whispers." Andy offers Peyton a smile and a nod of her head, while Jax grins sheepishly. My gaze flicks to the darkening sky and I sigh. We better keep walking if we want to make it to the edge by dawn. We turn and begin heading through the thick foliage, fumbling slightly in the dark. So, tell us what happened to you two. Andy laughs bitterly. A better question would be, what didn't happen to us? We found each other on the third day, Jax cuts in. But before that, I was lying pretty low since my ability doesn't do so well in crowded terrain like this. I saw Blair once, but blinked high into a tree before she could spot me and rip my arm off to get my leather. And Plague knows she would, too, Andy mutters under her breath, while Peyton hums in agreement. Jax continues with a shrug. But other than her, I didn't see anyone else when I was on my own. My biggest competition was just surviving in the forest alone. And what about you, Andy? Peyton asked curiously. Well, unlike Jax here, I was lucky enough to encounter 2 opponents on my own. She almost rolls her eyes in annoyance. I came across Blair, and the fight was intense. But unfortunately, the bitch got my band. And then, she draws at the words, the day before I found Jax, Hera paid me a visit. I woke up in the middle of the night to an invisible knife trying to saw the leather from my arm. Eventually, I got her band, but it wasn't easy considering that I couldn't see her half the time. Then Andy found me, and we've been together since. I hear the easy smile in Jax's voice. Braxton found us, but after we, well, mostly Andy, took him down, we found that he didn't have a leather on him. Jax's eyes widen, and he blurts. Oh, and he was covered in all these nasty burns. It's gross. I clear my throat. Yeah, that's thanks to me. Andy laughs. That's not surprising at all. Oh, we also fell into a pit of snakes. Jax cuts in with a shudder. Those things were worse than the trial itself. A snort escapes Andy. Yeah, I'm surprised every contestant in the Whispers didn't hear Jax screaming like a little girl. At that, Jax simply shrugs, not bothering to deny it. And then we found Ace. With the both of us, it wasn't too difficult to take him down and steal his leather. Jax scratches his head, considering something, especially because he was limping so badly. I can see the flash of Peyton's grin, even in the darkness, beginning to swallow us. And that is thanks to me. Peyton and I quickly fill the 2 of them in on what we endured this past week, though she carefully avoids the more intimate details of our time together. So, Sadie is dead? Andy asks, the question sounding more like a statement. Yes, I say simply. She is. We talk for a long while as we continue heading towards the edge of the forest. Inevitably, we eventually fall silent, the only sound coming from the birds above us and the crunch of leaves and twigs beneath us. I see the opening just as the sky begins to lighten. Freedom yawns hundreds of yards away as the trees start to thin, and the edge of the Whispers draws nearer. Our pace quickens, all of us itching to be rid of this place while the sun races us, heading for the horizon as we head towards freedom. A mass of bodies comes into view between the trees. Less than a mile past the edge of the forest, hundreds of people are gathered within a wide field, waiting patiently to watch the show. An audience. We are all silent as we finally step to the edge of the tree line. The sun has slowed its pace, too lazy to rise, so the trial isn't over just yet. I look towards the sea of people all pointing in our direction. Though their powers are just out of my reach, I do feel the weight of sights all around us, preparing to document the finale. Movement flickers in my peripheral. We all swivel towards it, Peyton's bow already drawn and aimed at the figure stepping out of the trees and into the open field on the other side. Tangled lilac hair blows across Blair's face as her lips twist into a sneer, taking us in. Her cold gaze is pinned on Peyton as she says, "Don't you know that alliances ruin all the fun?" Peyton sighs. "I would say I'm happy to see you're still alive, but apparently I'm a horrible liar, so why try?" My mouth twitches into a smile at her words when Braxton steps out through the trees. His eyes flick between us, looking determined and desperate to get a band before the trial ends. So his solution is to start charging at Blair. I tear my eyes away from him when I hear a branch crunch behind us. I turn, staring at nothing but the crisp air. And then Jax doubles over from the impact of an unexpected and unseen punch. "Ouch!" he wheezes. Hera has arrived. Andy transforms into her wolf form, sniffing the air to find Hera before suddenly charging in what can only be her direction. I whip my head around, searching. There's only one elite left. And then I see him. He's the farthest from us, standing with his arms crossed over his chest, observing the chaos that is unfolding before him with a smug smirk. Ace's eyes lock with mine. His grin grows. Found my target. The scene around me is a blur of blood and bodies. Peyton and Andy are fighting off Braxton and Blair, while Jax and Hera disappear and dance around each other, landing solid blows before vanishing. That leaves Ace entirely to me. I barely bat an eye at the violence surrounding me as I take on Hera's power and disappear into the chaos. I only shed the veil ability when I'm right before him so he can see my face when I send a fist into his nose with a sickening crunch. He staggers back, clutching the broken bone as his eyes fly to mine. And then I suddenly see nothing at all. A thick stone wall encases me, and yet something pierces my side. The sharp pain only sharpens my senses, reminding me that this is only an illusion, though the pain in my side is anything but. I step through the wall, and it vanishes in a wisp of smoke, revealing Ace clutching a spear in his bloody hand. The same spear that nearly killed Peyton. I blink behind him, having taken on Jax's ability, and drive my knee into his back. Then I'm blinking around him, hitting him hard without hesitation. I'm playing with him. I could easily finish this fight quickly, but I won't deny that I'm a monster who wants to have a little fun with him first. After I send a blow to his jaw, he suddenly multiplies before my very eyes. Dozens of aces surround me, all moving and mixing up with one another, leaving me to guess where the real one ran off to. I filter through the powers at my disposal, the ones dancing beneath my skin from those surrounding me. Blair's telepower surges in my veins, begging to be used. That could be fun. Now I just need to find the real... Pain laces up my leg when the tip of his spear dives into it. I grit my teeth and turn towards him. There you are. I smile as I lift him off the ground with nothing more than my mind. He gasps, choking as I crush his windpipe, his feet dangling a good 2 feet off the ground. His mouth is moving, making odd noises as he tries to get air into his screaming lungs. I'm still smiling. What was that? I can't quite hear you. His duplicates vanish into smoke beside me, and the cries of fighting around us fade as I focus on him. Focus on his life that I hold in my hands, my mind. But the cry of pain I hear next doesn't belong to him. I know that voice. I've heard that sound and silently hoped I never would again. My head whips to the crumpled body lying close to me, silver hair sticking to her fevered face, and the tears rolling over her faint freckles. Blood gushes from a jagged tear beneath her ribs, and a strangled sob escapes her. Kai, help me. Peyton's whisper is so quiet, a single breath away from death. Blood covers her hands, her hair, her body, staining her a revolting red. Kai, it hurts. She screams the words in agony, her body racking with sobs and spasms of pain. I hadn't realized my hold on Ace had slipped, hadn't realized I'd let him drop to the ground until he was on top of me, knocking the breath from my lungs. The tip of his spear is digging into my throat, his legs pinning down my arms. And then that smug smile is back, as though he wasn't just gasping for air a moment ago. And here I was thinking you were the strong one, the prince who didn't let his emotions get in the way. He smiles as the pointed tip of the spear pierces my skin, drawing hot blood. But look at you. A condescending laugh. Caring for her has made you weak. He's about to drag the blade across my throat. Kai! Jax's voice startles the both of us, and I turn my head to the side, just in time to see him toss a single arrow towards me. It's all I need. I catch it by the shaft, and in one swift motion, plunge it deep into the closest, open spot of Ace's flesh while pushing the spear's rod away from me. He screams when the arrow sinks into the soft flesh of his shoulder. His hold on me loosens, and I throw him off before staggering to my feet, the slice on my neck leaking blood. I spin to find Ace suddenly behind me, to my right, my left. I'm surrounded once again. "Over here," one of the aces calls, and I spin, grabbing my forgotten throwing star from my pocket. Ace's duplicates are vanishing and reappearing as I aimlessly search for the real one. "Behind you," he mocks, and I whip around, anger boiling my blood. "You know what I'm gonna do after I kill you?" One of them asks as another whispers loudly. "I'm gonna do the same to Peyton." Then, another ace chimes in. "Such a shame, too. I'm gonna miss looking at her." I'm gonna kill him. Now. No more games, no more toying. I'm ending this. Suddenly, the multiple aces vanish, leaving only one remaining, and I don't hesitate before raising my throwing star to send it sailing through the air at his heart. I see his eyes widen when the blade sinks into the center of his chest, embedding deep into his flesh. He stumbles back, gasping as he stares down at the fatal wound. A twisted smile finds its way to my lips. I'm gonna enjoy watching him die. I take my time walking over, watching as he drops to his knees. I'm standing over him now, staring down into his shiny eyes, glistening with tears. My smile falters. Those aren't his eyes. No. The eyes looking up at me are warm and large, the deep brown of melted chocolate, sweet, like the boy those eyes belong to. I drop to my knees. For the first time in years, I feel true, terrible terror. The illusion blows away in the soft breeze, sending tendrils of smoke into the morning sky, leaving behind a bloody boy, my bloody brother, Jax.